I'm not going to waste my time arguing with a man who's lining up to be a hot lunch. Here's your look at the NECA toys. This is the Jaws 50th Anniversary Ultimate Hooper action figure. Celebrate 50 years of Jaws with NECA. Considered one of the greatest achievements in film, the classic 1975 Steven Spielberg thriller paved the way for what would become the summer blockbuster. The iconic character Matt Hooper, portrayed by Richard Dreyfuss, is now available as an ultimate action figure. Standing in 7-inch scale, the young oceanographer is equipped with multiple interchangeable heads, hands, and gloved hands, plus fishing hooks, scuba tank, cup, crushed cup, shark dart, and duffel bag. I see everybody has come back for their noon feeding. Snacks are over there on the table, and while you're certainly snacking away, I'm going to grab the tape measure and start measuring away. Now, certainly, if you have been following this channel as of late, we've already had a look at the 50th anniversary Quint. Now we're going to be following things up with the 50th anniversary Hooper. The tape measure is going to tell us, based, of course, on having it close to the figure, that Ultimate Hooper is going to stand at about 7 inches in height, give or take. That's going to translate to a figure that's 17.5 centimeters tall. Speaking of Quint, here's Quint right here. Looking at the two figures, Hooper really should be smaller than Quint. Couldn't help but though really notice that when I'm looking at Hooper, does it not appear to me like the lower half of his body isn't really quite proportioned to the top half of his body? Like he sort of seems like he's a little squished. Now, Hooper was released in 2 retro cloth releases in the past. I totally must have dropped the shark cage when picking up the second one. I did pick up the scuba Hooper, where you can actually see, like, size-wise, obviously you're not probably going to be comparing the two together. There was, though, again, a retro cloth release of Hooper that looked like this. For one reason or another, the guy behind the camera totally passed on picking him up. I hope you guys are all still hungry, because you're going to have a full plate of accessories when it comes to Hooper. The figure has, like Quint, the means to have his arms taken off. You can also detach and remove his jacket and have the figure displayed the way he looks at the end of the film. Going back a little bit first, though, the figure does come included with a couple of accessories, like, for example, his duffel bag. When we first see him walking down the pier in Amity, you actually see him wearing around or carrying this duffel bag on the back of his body. He doesn't necessarily have this head. He actually has closer more to this head, where he's got the little beanie on the back. That's kind of the way I had him displayed at the beginning of this review when he was first rotating on the rotisserie. The one real issue I have with the duffel bag is more just the fact it's really heavy. Even though really it is just still plastic, having this, though, sliding up his arm and draped across the back of his body is next to impossible. Now, he also would have been holding the strap, but it's not something you can easily do, being the fact that only the figure has a single hinge in his elbow. Sure, yeah, he can hold the strap, but the strap isn't long enough then to fit around his shoulder, so you have to kind of make the sacrifices there. The duffel bag certainly does look the way it does in the film, for at least what little we see of it. Just again, not to fall over. It's nicely colored. It does also have the handles there on the top, and it would have, believably enough, a zipper that you'd be able to open up and see what's inside. Again, it's nice the way to display the figure like that. Some may choose not to have him like that, just because, again, it's going to make it a little bit more back heavy. He does also come included with 2 versions of his cup. As we certainly see with Quint, he drinks the beer and crushes the cup, or crushes the can. Hooper does the same with his cup. So you get a regular version of the cup, no liquid or anything on the inside, and then you have a crushed up version of that, so it looks like he's actually crushing it. I think that's kind of cool and fun that they would have included that. Of course, the figure does also have some swappable hands to do those jobs as well. I guess while we're kind of sticking with the skin hands, the figure does also come included. Well, he has a gripping hand right now already for holding the following things over here. If you wanted to have him, for example, holding the cup, well, I've already taken the liberty of actually adding that hand, and you basically just fit the crushed cup into his hand like that. Or if you want to have the regular sized cup, still with the beverage, I'm guessing, inside, you can also do that with this hand as well. Other hand available options as well without popping the arms off. Just give him a stand here for a second. He does have a relaxed hand, and he does also come included with more smaller C-clamp gripping hands. Good for, again, for holding the following accessories. He does also have gloved hands, depending on which way you want to have him looking. I would likely, though, to be taking his jacket off first before swapping it out with the gloved hands, because we usually see Hooper with this at the end of the movie. Again, a relaxed hand for that, a smaller gripping hand, 2 actually, in fact, smaller gripping hands, and 2 relaxed hands. So there's some available options there. The figure does also come included with the needle. I don't know how exactly you're going to be getting that on the shark's skin. Sure enough, though, they find the means. The actual handle itself is all done here in black plastic. It does actually look like It's just a little bit of plastic residue. I actually thought there was a scratch there on mine. It's painted well, though. You got the gold on the end. Probably not good to prick yourself on that, so you don't know what's going to be happening. This is done in a decent enough plastic. Still the kind of plastic, though, you wouldn't want to really be doing what I'm doing right now, with the risk that that could potentially break. Psst, and then you'd be just crying and disappointed. The figure does also come include the harpoon. Good, again, for hooking on the line. There's that little bit of plastic that was coming off. It must have been the plastic coming off of this. I don't see it. But one thing I do want to also point out to you guys as well is a little control pad. That's pretty cool. But yeah, the figure does also come include the harpoon or the hook. Again, you want to hook the line in. Then he does also come include this tank. That tank has a good attention to detail, as you can see right there. I wouldn't necessarily say he has a designated hand for holding the tank. If anything, you probably could even use like the relaxed hands for kind of cradling it with both his hands. He doesn't really necessarily have a hand that I would say specifically is designed for holding it. I guess you could also take one of the hands here and kind of just clamp it around the handle or the nozzle here and just kind of carrying it that way. Just not really the easiest thing to do. Does it hold it? Does it survive the blizzard test? It only really does because I've got it resting on the thumb. But the fact that he actually comes included with the tank, nice little touch on NECA's part. Okay, so the figure does have some swappable heads. Technically, though, I suppose I should have really beelined it back to using this head sculpt as the starting of this review. I think in all the cases, though, Hooper does bear quite a strong likeness here. And of course, to Richard Dreyfuss. I really was a big fan of Richard Dreyfuss. Then I think he kind of fell afoul with Hollywood and he sort of just fell off the map. Now, Richard Dreyfuss, I think, gets a little crazier when you get him into interviews. Anyways, though, Hooper has actually 3 of the 4 head sculpts actually have glasses. So you get this one here, for example, that does have the little beanie cap on the top. Really a well-sculpted and painted head. Then you also get this head sculpt, which has now the cap on the top. This really should have been the way I've displayed them. If once you take the jacket off, you kind of just have the gray shirt underneath. Again, like all of them look really good. Again, 3 of the 4 do have glasses. The only one that doesn't actually have glasses is this one here. So if you want to have him like displayed the way, I guess he's inside the boat, sort of telling all their tales and showing off their war wounds. You could display the figure really with that. I really would prefer, if anything, to display him with glasses. Speaking though of glasses, I want to draw your attention though to this head sculpt here. I noticed getting this one out of the packaging that the glasses were extremely loose. These glasses have fallen off a couple of times. You can see like there's a slot on either side of the figure's face. Ideally though, the glasses should really sit inside of that. I don't know if there just wasn't enough. There goes the glasses. I knew that I would drop them. Just doesn't maybe seem like there's a strong enough adhesive. So these glasses always are prone to falling off. I'm not necessarily obviously I'm going to be disappointed by that happening. But really, neither one of these heads will be displayed on my Hooper. I think if I was to display the figure with anything, it would likely be either with a beanie cap or it would be with the beach cap or the beach hat there, displaying the figure with either one of those. Then, of course, Hooper does also have some swappable arms, similar in the way, again, like Quint had that. So you just basically would be detaching the arms, then taking off the jacket, and then you basically would then be taking these arms and plugging them back in place. Before doing that, though, let's again look at one of the head sculpts here. Despite having problems with at least one of the pairs of glasses falling off the figure's face, I think the glasses, for the most part, have done quite well. You don't really see necessarily a frame, but I like that they've used a clear enough plastic that it's easy enough to see through it and see the figure's eyes. The frames on the sides look pretty good there as well. A little bit of silver goes nicely a long way. Yeah, I mean, again, it's a good-looking head sculpt. I still feel like, though, looking at the figure, there's something seems off, though, about the lower end of his body. Richard Dreyfuss really isn't the tallest of actors around, especially if you're going to be comparing him with, like, Robert Shaw. But I feel like maybe, like, Robert's proportions, I think, weren't all that bad. There's something, though, about Hooper's where I just feel like his lower legs seem shorter than they should be. Like he needs to be just a tad bit longer. I don't know really necessarily how much more longer you'd want to really have him, because you wouldn't want him be a super tall character. But I think he definitely need to have slightly longer legs, maybe even longer down below here. Maybe it's the calf that's kind of throwing me off. Speaking of the calves, though, as you can see, the figure is wearing, well, he's wearing denim on denim. Some would say that's a Canadian tuxedo. The denim jacket on the top does look good. It's got little snaps on the sides, snap around the pocket area there as well, and a little bit different color of a denim jean. And he does also have as well the sneakers, good for walking around, good for avoiding sharks. And he does also have peg holes in the bottoms of his feet. The attentions to detail, though, I do like that they've added some weathering on the bottoms of the soles. So it looks like these aren't a new pair of shoes. But again, if you did want to change out the body, you don't necessarily need to swap out the head, but let's just say for the sake of this that you want to. The head just basically will just pop off, and then you basically would just replace it with any other head that you're using. Now, I deliberately did this. Some may have already noticed this and said, well, wait a minute, humble reviewer. I couldn't help but notice that your head doesn't look like it's all the way on there. One issue, though, I did really have when it came to Hooper. I'm not going to try to get the head completely on there. Every single time in the beginning, just prior to hitting record, when I wanted to take the head off, what ended up happening every single time, I was taking the neck off too. Unlike, though, Quint didn't technically have a secondary neck ball joint. He only really relied on his head. Hooper, on the other hand, actually does have a ball joint at the base of his neck as well. And I've noticed this a couple of times already. When you go to take this off, the entire neck piece came off as well. So I'm being very selective as to which figure's head I'm going to be using before I put down a lot of pressure. That way I just don't have to do the review again. But again, like if you wanted to change out the head sculpts, being that really this should have been the start of our reviews, just that this is the way that we see him first when he's introduced into the film, this likely, though, would be the way I'm going to be displaying the figure without the jacket on him. To do all that, though, we're going to just, you don't really have to take the head off. I'm just going to do that for at least right now. We're going to also take the arms off. Those are super easy to do. And you're also going to take off the jacket. That just slides off very easily. What was funny, though, about Hooper is that you don't have to stop there. Oh, this is going to get racy. No, actually, you can take his shirt off, too. I don't know really why they made this. I guess they just didn't want to adhere to anything on his body. I mean, they could probably have glued it to the top of his torso. I mean, left away the stomach, so you'd still have full poseability options. But yeah, the shirt also does come off fairly easy as well. Take your arms for Hooper, and lining up the holes, of course. I want to make sure, of course, the shirt's also far enough down there on his torso. There we go. Take the arm that we want to use. Make sure, of course, it's on the right side. And we'll do the same thing then on the other side. Just plug that in place. Observant viewers will already notice the fact I still don't have hands yet for Hooper. I'm going to fix that in a second. Take the head that we want to then use. And I think I'm going to commit to the idea of maybe using this head. So this is the head I'm going to apply a little bit more pressure for. And you'll kind of see what I mean in a second. The one thing you also will want to be careful of is don't put pressure against the front of his face, because that may buckle the frame for the glasses. Did you do that earlier, though? And maybe that's one of the reasons why you were having problems with the glasses? No, I did not, in case you were being curious. The head's somewhat on there. Let's go ahead and now find ourselves a pair of hands. So we'll take those gloved hands that we looked at earlier. We're going to plug in one hand on one side. By the way, though, the figure does also have a wristwatch. The wristwatch is, though, sculpted to this arm, so it doesn't look like it actually comes off, which is probably a good thing, too. You wouldn't want to have to worry about losing wristwatch in the same way that I just lost his glasses. I know where they are. They're on the floor. I'm going to retrieve them in a second. Where's the hand that I want to use? Here's the hand I want to use. I'm going to plug the gloved hands now in. There we go. And Hooper, for the most part, is ready to battle the shark. I guess all we really then need to do is take ourselves the little needle, and we'll just kind of slide that in between his hands. Now, these hands still are very hard plastic. Heating them up in hot water would probably be best advised. You can also use, of course, the hairdryer, and you can have Hooper displayed that way. Does it seem, though, proportionally like he's still squat? Too short on the lower legs? Let me know what you guys think. In the meantime, though, let me show you guys what his articulation is. We'll go ahead and just kind of take the spear off right now. Okay, let's hope his head stays in place. Hooper's head, yes, is going to be on a ball joint. It will be, of course, best advised. You know what? Let's get that all the way on there. The head is going to be on a ball joint. Starting back, go and look at that again. The head's going to be on a ball joint. Further down from that, there's also a ball joint at the base of his neck. So the figure does actually have poseability in 2 points. Quint never had that. Hooper does. The arms do rotate all the way around. You can take those arms and hinge them out at 90 degrees, or if you prefer, a T pose, capital T, for terror. The figure does still only manage to pull off a single hinge in his elbow. Comes with the territory of now the Ultimate figures. Ultimate figures tend not to really have double hinges in their elbows. Some still do. Hooper unfortunately doesn't. He only has just a single. Hands rotate all the way around, though. You can hinge them back and forth. As we already kind of see his bare chest underneath, we already know that the figure has a top torso joint right here, but he does also have one down below in his waist. Hooper's legs manage to split out. There's ball joints working behind the scenes. You take them and move them forward, and again, move them back. There's a swivel there at the top of the thigh. Single hinge still in the knee. Lower leg rotation. Up and down ankle pivot. Back and forth ankle rocker. Let's get Quint standing here. And we'll bring back in the Quint that we've already had a look at. Yeah, Brody. Really a shame, though, that we never got ourselves a chance to get him. Of course, since then, though, we've also got ourselves Bruce the Shark. I would love to get my hands on that one. Still, it's strange that every site that I've checked show as a pre-order. Yet I'm sure there's been a lot of U.S. collectors that have already had the chance to pick that one up. I think even like NECA's site still shows the Shark as being a pre-order. But at least I have now my hands on both Quint and Hooper. Both figures look really good. And again, I don't know really why I never ended up picking up the retro cloth version of Hooper. I only ended up really getting this Hooper with, of course, the scuba tank. I don't know really if we're going to be getting any other versions of Hooper. Whether we will get the one with the shark tank or not, at least we did technically get one as a retro cloth. I know some don't really like collecting retro cloth figures, and some really prefer more to get the ultimate releases. If you are, though, and you're a big fan of Jaws, I would imagine, though, you've already had the chance to both now pick up Quint and Hooper that we've looked at in these several reviews. The sad part about getting an ultimate Quint and now an ultimate Hooper is it's more the reminder that we're not getting a Martin Brody. Reasons unknown. I think it all had a lot more to do with the fact that the Scheider family just didn't want to lend the licenses out. Because I think NECA had at one point planned not only to do a Brody, but that was the same time that they hinted the Shark. We're still getting now the Shark. In fact, some collectors have already had the chance to grab the Bruce, but we're never going to be getting a Brody. Unless plans do change, it does sort of feel incomplete that the trio really isn't a trio. We've only now just gotten the two. Of though the two figures that we've gotten, I think both the figures look the part. They both look like the actors and the characters from the film. Just depending on how you really would like to display Matt Hooper, you can choose the way that he's appearing at the beginning of the movie, or as we've now wrapped up the review here, or currently in the process of, you can also have the figure displayed the way that we see at the end of the movie with the hat. The only one real issue that I have with Hooper, other than looking still like he's got too short in legs, is that also his glasses. I was able to at least find the glasses that fell off his face, but I might just end up having to put a little bit of an adhesive, because it didn't seem to be that the glue that they used was strong enough to hold the glasses the way they were out of the packaging. Every other head, by the way, has had no issues at all with glasses falling off. There's just something about that one face, I can't seem to keep the glasses on them. Have you had similar issues if you've picked up the Hooper for yourself? Let me know down below. If you also have picked up the figure, which way do you have them displayed? Tuxedo, Canadian tuxedo, denim on denim, or are you choosing to have the figure displayed with the sweatshirt and jeans like you're currently seeing right now? If you guys did also enjoy this video, you can do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? Yeah, I hope so. There may not be a whole lot more NECA coming your way for the rest of this week, but if you still need your fix, popping up at the very end of this video will be a playlist of all the things I've done for the company in the past. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.